Alright, so one of the things you may have to do is configure DSL connection. So in smaller businesses and remote offices and that, you might have to set up DSL. It's kind of dying off slowly, but still very strong. So in order to do so, you have to configure PPPoE. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to put two routers into our topology and pretend one is the provider and one is the client. So we're going to configure the client. It's going to connect that with our fast eth here because it's PPPoE, so it's over Ethernet. And start them up. And router 1 really is going to be just giving us a link light. So we're going to configure R2 as our client. Just let this boot up. Alright, we're going to go into config mode. And the first thing you have to do is make a dialer. So this is a similar technology as the old dial-up connections with phone lines. You have to dial into the central office. So we're going to do interface, dialer, and then you can choose a number. So we'll just do dialer 1. And we have to tell it what kind of encapsulation we want to use. So we're going to do encapsulation in PPP. And most likely you're going to be retrieving your IP address from the provider, so we're going to tell it to do that. So IP address negotiated. And finally we have to probably send the username and password and authenticate, and we'll do so using CHAP. And I've mentioned with PPP, when you're using CHAP you have to make a local username equal to the other side's host name and such like that. There is a command you can do to kind of get around having to do that, and we're going to do that here. So PPP CHAP host name, and then whatever the provider's ISP router, whatever it is, and then the password. So kind of lied when I said you had to do it that way. It's just because it's the way they want you to learn it, basically. But for PPPoE we do it this way. So and then this will be whatever the password is. And when you do this with PPPoE, it adds it adds to the header of your frames. So we need to reduce the MTU size since we're injecting stuff into the header. And we do so by changing our MTU. So we're going to do IP MTU 1492. So we got to give up 8 bytes there to the PPPoE header. If you left it at 1500, which is the default, your frames are going to be probably split in half. So you'll have less efficient communications, more overhead. Certain applications might break if they're encrypted or something like that, especially VPNs, having problems with that. Some routers might just drop it. So make sure you set your MTU correctly. And we have to tell the dialer interface what pool it's part of. So we're going to say dialer pool 1. Alright, so now we have to go into whatever interface we want to apply this to. So this really was just all the configuration stuff we need to create, and then we apply it to the actual interface. So we're going to go into interface fasteth00, and we're going to turn on PPPoE, and now we're going to be a client, PPPoE client, dial pool number 1. And that's pretty much it for PPPoE. I don't really have a dialer set up here that I can start, but that is the configuration necessary to do DSL or other PPPoE on a standard router.